Savvy Central Radio, drawing out the best from our guests with your host, Christina Nitchman.
This is your host, Christina Nitchman. Each week, Savvy runs weekly broadcasts providing entrepreneurs and successful individuals a platform to express their dreams, hopes, lessons learned, expertise, and wisdom with the world. Our sponsor is Winty Aviation T-shirt Art. Winty is your one-stop shop solution for all your graphic art needs, from logos, business cards, book covers, and banners. Contact Winty today at winty.com. Our guest today is Paul Harrop, producer and video journalist for AOPA Live. With hundreds of thousands of members, AOPA, Aircraft Owners and Pilots Association, is the largest, most influential general aviation organization in the world. Paul is an Oklahoma native and comes from a long line of pilots. His father, grandfather, and uncle were all pilots. He grew up fascinated with two things, aviation and storytelling. After graduating from Kravis Broadcasting Institute, Paul began his television career. Working with cable networks, the big stories took him all over the place, from wildfires on the Great Plains to Hurricane Katrina and even the Michael Jackson trial. Paul's work has been regularly seen on CNN, Fox News, CBS News, and other international news outlets. Check out Paul's weekly show at aopa.org/thisweek. Welcome, Paul, to our 4th annual Aviation Month at Savvy Central Radio. I'm so excited to have you out here today. How are you?
I'm great, Christina. Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be here with you today.
Well, you are part of one of the largest aviation companies in the world, AOPA, Aircraft Owners and Pilots Association, which I am a member of, or was a member. I've actually stopped for a bit. But they're fabulous. Tell us a little bit before we go there and talk about that, how you came to the world of aviation. What drew you to the world of aviation?
Well, what drew me to aviation was looking up as a child and seeing airplanes go by and wanting to be up there and flying in those things. I grew up in Lawton, Oklahoma, right near the approach end of Fort Sill Airport's field. So I'd see Army aviation go over my head all the time as a kid. And I'm like, wow, that's cool. And that never left me. That interest that I developed as a child never left. So throughout my career as a television news reporter, I always wanted to learn to fly. I kind of grew up in a flying family. Never really was able to until I came to work for the Aircraft Owners and Pilots Association.
That's fabulous. But you said your dad was a pilot?
My dad's a pilot. My uncle was a pilot. He's now passed on. My grandfather was a pilot in World War II, so kind of in the bloodline. Yeah. So as a kid, though, did you get to go flying as a family, or no? I actually didn't go flying that much. My dad had an interest in a 150 Aerobat for a while, so
that's cool.
Not really the family hauler type, but still always grew up with aviation stuff around me. There's a picture of me when I was a toddler wearing nothing but a set of David Clark's. So we won't show that, but, it's always been a part of my life.
Yeah, it's cool. My partner actually said his first experience, when he was a kid, he said that his grandma said he used to run around outside like an airplane like this.
Oh, yeah.
So cute.
I still do that, you know. Sometimes I actually get to fly like that. So, no, it's a lot of fun. I think human beings have always wanted to grow. I think that's a part of our nature. And what is the next logical step that we can grow physically than to learn how to take to the skies? And aviation provides that opportunity. We're in an era where we can actually put our arms out and maybe actually take off a runway. Yeah. And I think it's also part of the human experience to want to expand, grow, learn, and that sense of freedom that you get from flying. Absolutely. We're curious creatures, and aviation helps us explore our world a little bit easier than we have had to do in years past. Yeah, and I'm guessing now that you work for AOPA and you've gone around the country working for them, you said you've gotten to fly a little bit more. What's your greatest or most fun experience in the world of aviation? Oh man, having to pick just one's difficult. There's so many amazing opportunities within aviation. I've been very fortunate to be a steward of these opportunities for my viewers. I think the most impressive aviation moment I've ever had was at Sun and Fun 2012. I got to fly on a B-29 Super Fortress, the same type of airplane that delivered the atomic bombs in Japan.
Wow.
There's one of them currently flying. There's another one very close to returning to the skies. But the one still flying is named Fifi, owned by a non-profit called the Commemorative Air Force that keep these old warbirds, we call them, alive. They had Fifi at Sun and Fun, and I got to go on a ride with the first woman to ever fly a B-29. Back during World War II, the military had the Women Auxiliary Service Pilots, or WASP program. And a guy named Paul Tibbets, who would go on to do great things in the military, decided, hey, we've got to get men interested in flying these B-29s, because they weren't that reliable. They had kind of an iffy reputation. So he said, hey, let's get these gals checked out in them. They can fly them around within the United States. And when the guys see these ladies jumping off these massive radial engine bombers, they're going to be like, well, if they're doing it, we got to go do it. So they did. And a woman named Dora Doherty was the first woman checked out as pilot in command in a B-29. She was 90-something years old, wanted to go for one more flight. I had the honor of flying on the last remaining B-29.
Wow.
With the first woman to ever fly one just before she passed away. It was an amazing experience. And just to tell her story and to see that and smell that, feel that history was amazing.
Wow, that is amazing. And I'm wondering, though, because you said you flew in the plane, have you gotten to fly any of the birds where you get to feel the,
I haven't flown any of the big World War II bombers. That's on my list.
Next.
But, yeah, hopefully someday. But I've gotten to fly a lot of different types of aircraft with this job, and it's been really exciting to get to kind of get the feel for different types of airplanes, because just like different cars fly differently, a Bentley's nice, a Chevrolet's nice, a Rolls-Royce is nice. They all fly and drive differently, and airplanes are the same way.
Different characteristics and personalities.
Absolutely, very different personalities. Yeah. You're gonna drive a Ferrari differently than you'd drive a Buick. Yeah. And same thing with aircraft.
So tell me your favorite aircraft that you did get to fly.
Oh my goodness, that's another hard to pick.
All right, probably maybe two then.
Okay, so probably a Waco biplane. It's this classic two-seater biplane, just straight out of the barnstorming era. Every classic aviation moment and theme you can think of is just exemplified in these great airplanes, and they're still building them today. And got to fly in a flight of two to where it was the Waco I was flying in. Hey, Kitty.
Hi.
Joining us here on Savvy Central.
Hey, hello, yes. Yeah.
And we flew it from Battle Creek, Michigan to Palm Springs as a flight of two.
Yeah.
So to fly across the desert in open cockpit biplanes was just really fantastic.
That is cool. Oh, wow. I've always wanted to fly in a biplane or a tail dragger in particular. Now, did you have to dance a lot in the pedals? How did it feel? Was it hard for you, transitioning to a tail dragger?
I was still early in my flight training, so I didn't get to do the takeoffs and landings. Yeah. Fortunately, I probably would have dinged it up. But yeah, you have to fly those airplanes all the way to the ground, we call them, and all the way on the ground, because you have the wheel in the back that's on the ground, so that still moves around. You have to keep control of it even on the ground, so you can pick up on that just riding in it.
And also being in the air, do you use the rudder a lot in the air, even when you're not on the ground as well in a trail dragger? Or
I didn't think that the Waco was overly rudder hungry. It was fairly well balanced, well behaved. But any airplane, you've got to keep it coordinated. Yeah. You've got to keep flying all three axes of it at all times.
Yeah. And that's the one thing people don't realize. I think with a car, you can shut your brain off pretty much, but with an airplane, if you don't stay ahead of the airplane, you're probably going to be, in a bad situation.
Well, I think anybody can really learn to fly and fly well. I'm still learning to fly and learning to fly well. But yeah, you gotta be a part of it. It's a participatory activity. You can't just put it on autopilot and go to sleep, as they say.
Yeah, and I've noticed for me, I've not gotten to fly a lot, and I only have about 13 real hours. And get this, I was at one pilot association meeting a couple years ago. Now, I've told you I've flown for probably hundreds of hours with my partner who's a pilot, but I only have 13 hours in my logbook. So I met an FAA guy, and he said, so how many hours do you have? Because that's probably the first question that all pilots ask each other, how many hours do you have?
Yeah.
I'm like, legally or by the book?
That's
and
funny.
he just looked at me like, not funny at all.
He's from the FAA, and he's here to help. So.
No, it was like, I'm only joking.
Sure.
No, but it was funny because I'm thinking, what would you, now that you're flying with AOPA, where would you like to go? Where do you see your flying career going?
Flying as a career, I'm weird in aviation that I don't want to ever get paid to fly the airplane. It's not my goal to be an airline captain. It's not my goal to fly charter flights or anything like that. I really enjoy telling the story of people that get to and choose to make aviation a part of their life. So as long as I can continue to tell the stories of people that are using aviation, I'll be really fulfilled in it. And I do get to travel a lot by general aviation, which is a completely different experience. It's kind of like getting in a time machine, if you will.
Yeah.
You can get in an airplane and be somewhere else a lot faster than driving.
Yeah.
And when you're flying general aviation, you don't have airport lines. You don't usually have to pay for parking. You don't have the TSA to deal with. You just get in and you go. And you're there a lot faster than you could have by oftentimes any other means.
Yeah, absolutely. And I totally agree with you. I mean, when I started flying with Brian, my partner, it was fabulous that we'll go to somewhere like Virginia for dinner.
Sure.
And we're sitting here in the middle of Virginia with, Virginia accents all around us. And I'm like, this is so different than Manhattan.
Yeah.
It's like night and day. It's fabulous that you can do that with general aviation.
We could get in the airplane right now at an airport not far, 4 or 5 miles away from here in New York. We could go and have a quick lunch up in Martha's Vineyard, up to Boston if we wanted to. If you want to make a day out of it, we could go get some lobsters up in Maine and be back before the sun sets. That's the power of aviation. It really gives you an opportunity to get and go and get back a lot faster. And a lot of people use that in their small businesses to take advantage of that to really expand their territories, because you can fly into an airport. There's 5,500 public use airports that you can land at that oftentimes aren't served by commercial airports. To get there by other means just isn't that feasible. For example, I was going from the D.C. area where we're based, Frederick, Maryland, to a meeting out west of Chicago, DePage Airport. Went by general aviation, took 2 hours. Walked out my office, got on the airplane, 2 hours later getting off the airplane, walking into the office in DePage, where I needed to be. I had to go back through public aviation 17 and a half hours the next day. Because you got to take a car to a commercial airport. Got to go through that whole song and dance, get on it, fly, change planes, go to D.C., get off, and take a cab. 17 and a half hours to repeat what had taken 2 hours the day before using general aviation.
That is one of the major blessings of general aviation. I had someone on last year who works in Capitol Hill for GA, and he said what people don't realize, the average citizens, is that GA serves all of the public so much. I mean, all of our food is shipped in, our mail, the products we use on a daily basis. Life would pretty much stop if we got rid of general aviation.
And the economic impact that it has on small airports is phenomenal. Every small little town tends to have a regional or a municipal strip near it. Well, people coming in there buying fuel, you're paying taxes on that fuel. You're maybe going out having some lunch in that town that is not otherwise served by mass transit. And it really adds a lot to the community. So there's a lot of benefits that people, I don't think, see directly that general aviation brings. Not to mention the economic opportunities. Somebody, a sales guy or salesperson, lands in a little town that's got a 6,000-foot runway. Well, you're not going to be able to stop and visit 4 or 5 of those towns if you're having to fly commercially. He's able to visit there and do business there all through the power of aviation.
And that's what me and my partner got to do. When we went to Florida, it was awesome because there's so many airports in Florida. We went to see all of our different family members hop. We went to 5 different airports and went to have dinner, lunch. I mean, we ate so much because every place we went to eat. And I was like, okay, we need to stop eating. But
aviation people tend to get. Was that the trip that I actually had dinner with you and your partner?
Where we met.
Aviation people love to gather. We love to eat. We have this thing in aviation called the $100 hamburger.
It's a little bit more sometimes.
Well, it's a little more than $100 at times. But the idea is that you take off and you go flying and you land somewhere and you have lunch and you come back. And, maybe a few years ago it was $100 in fuel to go do that. It's probably a little bit more depending on what you do. But you just go and you fly and you do fun things, and that's one of the types of, that's the lifestyle that aviation provides. It's this go and do and have fun and have a social activity with your friends and like-minded people. That's really what aviation's about.
And to me, it provides the greatest way to experience life in a very deep sense. I mean, I've had amazing experience. Some of my greatest experiences have been in aviation.
Oh my goodness. The experiences you get to have, the places you get to see, and the ways you get to see them. You're not, you can fly over in an airliner at 40,000 feet and look down and get this big picture. But I, for example, got to go on a trip. We took this weird-looking open cockpit airplane called an AirCam, and it was designed for the National Geographic Society to fly in the Congo and take pictures for their publication. So it's kind of like a canoe with wings and 2 engines on the back that face backwards, and there's floats under it. It's a real odd-looking airplane designed by a guy named Phil Lockwood, but it's very, very good for what it is. Well, it's not a fast airplane because it's designed for photography. It goes about 60 or 70 miles an hour, much like a car. I got to help take one from Sebring, Florida to Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Nice.
And since it had floats, we went up the Mississippi River. And talk about a way to see America at 60 miles an hour and 10, 20 feet off the water.
Wow.
You smell it. You taste it. You get to wave at people, and they wave back. And you stopping in little towns and tasting the local flavor. I got introduced to boiled peanuts coming across the South. That's a delicacy they have down there.
Yeah.
Stopped in Memphis, had some ribs. Stopped in St. Louis, had some barbecue. Again, the food thing.
Yeah.
And there's no other way to have seen that little slice of life and experienced all those things than the way we did it, and that was with an airplane.
Wow, that's amazing. Now, I want to get to your journalism background. Now, your history is in journalism, but now you've been snatched up by AOPA. Tell us how you got into the world of journalism and broadcast and all of that, and what brought you eventually to AOPA.
Well, I can trace it almost linearly. I was an audio geek as a kid. For my 12th birthday, I asked for an audio mixer, and I got a 4-channel mixer from Radio Shack when I was 12 years old. Started doing sound, and that led me to doing lights for theater, and that led me into doing video, and then all of a sudden I discovered, well, video, I can go do news, and I got some formal training in a program, and started doing news while I was even still in high school. I did the weather on our high school's TV station, and so got my feet wet at an early age, and then started doing video production from there, and went into news. Freelancing as a stringer, then went into my hometown in Lawton, Oklahoma. Started there doing the news there, and went from there up. You work your way up in markets. Went from there to Oklahoma City, which was the big town, and then started doing morning news at a station in Texas, and did that for several years and enjoyed it and met a lot of great people. And the whole time I was like, man, if I could only get to a big market, I could incorporate aviation into my lifestyle. I could get an airplane. I could get a pilot certificate. And then I was browsing for jobs one day, and a job said AOPA, video producer.
You're like,
oh my goodness. Well, I'm a member of AOPA, and I'm a video professional. Let's see if I can make this happen. So I all but beat their doors down, and they were nice enough to not call the police, and in fact gave me a job. So it was one of those right place, right time situations, and I've been a member of AOPA for a long time, so I really had a strong understanding of the organization and what they do. They represent general aviation on Capitol Hill and in state houses and at the local level, and really preserve and protect that freedom to fly that we have in this country. So to take my talents as a reporter and use them in conjunction with my hobby as an aviator for an organization like AOPA has really been a blessing. I'm living a dream. They always say if you can do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life. Well, here it is.
That's fabulous. That's fabulous. So for anyone listening in who thinks, wow, I've always wanted to do the news or be a reporter or something like that.
Run.
Right? What do you think was the number one thing you need in order to be a good reporter or
Patience.
Patience.
Patience. And it's kind of a double-edged sword. You have to be patient with the people that run television stations. You have to be patient with the people that you're asking to get interviews from. You have to be patient with your fellow coworkers. There's a lot of high stress that goes into making news, and you can't really let that show on the air. So if you can have patience and a genuine curiosity about the world, you want to go out and to learn and to listen to people's stories and discover new things and just share that with an audience, you can do that. But it's not glitz and glam. There's a lot of meals that'll be had in a live truck, and breathing generator smoke as you work on your laptop, at odd hours. It's, when you think about the reporter. The reporter's out there telling you, hey, the roads are bad, don't come out here. Well, they're out there on the roads. You got to drive on those roads to get there. Long hours, trying conditions, difficult managers at times. So if your heart's into it, you can do it. If not, find something that lets you do what you love.
Yeah, that's very good advice, because I've heard from a woman who's a commercial aviator, and she's like, oh, people think I get to travel the world. It's a piece of cake. 17-hour days.
Oh, yeah.
She said, I love flying. I wouldn't trade it for anything.
Sure.
But she said, 17-hour days, I'm eating out of hotel food or out of the machine dispenser. Not exactly your cup of tea, and not exactly healthy a lot of the time.
Well, exactly. That's like me. I never have any desire to get paid to fly an airplane.
Yeah.
I just want to incorporate it into my life to have the lifestyle, to do the amazing things. You don't have to want to be a jet pilot to get into this. You can really make it a part of your life at any level. And for me, having it a part of my job but not be my job is a real comfortable fit.
Yeah, and I get you. Years ago, I had a passion for dance, and I decided very early on, because a lot of people get paid in performing arts. And I said, I didn't want that stress of having to be paid to perform. I just want to do this for fun. Yeah. And that just makes it, for me, it was more pleasurable for me, and that hobby. And the same for flying. For me, I've never seen flying as something I need to get paid from. It's just something I want to do to have an experience in my life and enrich my life.
And it does enrich your life. My goodness, what an amazing tool to use to enhance any lifestyle you have. And people think sometimes, oh, it's a rich kid sport. Well, not really. I mean, the majority of people that are out there flying do it on a budget. You can do it. You don't have to own an airplane. We've got a sharing economy that's continuing to develop, in our nation, and that exists in aviation. There's things like Open Airplane, where you can go and you can rent an airplane through an app and get it for a couple hours, and it may cost you a couple $100, but it's cheaper than going to a theme park or something like that when you're on vacation. A lot of people get into flying clubs, which is a big initiative that AOPA has. We try to support it to where, if you're not in a position to own an airplane, well, you get 10, 20 people together, and they go in on a $20,000 airplane. Suddenly, your ownership stake in an airplane makes a lot more economic sense, and really, you're not going to be using it 24/7. So if you have partners in it, it just works all the way around. So it's really available. I think if I could impress on anybody, it's aviation is there for you. Your tax dollars fund these airports. The skies exist for you, for me, for everyone else. We all have access to these things. Get out there and go do it if you're interested in it, because it's not exclusive. There's a little bit of a barrier to entry that you have to demonstrate proficiency in it. But really, if you put your mind to it and you fly a lot, and you study, and you really want it, just about anybody, I'm confident, can earn a pilot certificate. Yeah, I agree. If you have the passion behind it and you do the diligence of learning and keeping your skill up, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. You can't do it halfway. This can't be the bicycle you buy that hangs in the ceiling of your garage. You need to get out there and you need to use it often. But it's an amazing thing, and once you start doing it, you'll be hooked on it. And it won't be hanging up. It'll be something you can't wait to go do. And I like that you mentioned the sharing economy, because I have a flying club in Republic called Downwind Pilots Association. And what's really awesome about the group is they get a bunch of people together, some even pilot enthusiasts who aren't even pilots yet, who are thinking about being pilots. So they all go up every single weekend, and they bring up several airplanes, and everyone sits, like 4 people, and they, different legs, different people fly, and they all pitch in for the gas. That's a great way to do it. Yeah, so this way you're spending 50, 60, 70, maybe 100. But think about it, like, I'm at work and people are saying, well, that's kind of expensive still. How much do you spend going out to dinner and buying drinks on a Friday? Yeah. And it's wholesome, and aviation is very much a social activity. Yeah. I tell stories about airplanes. No, I tell stories about the people that use the airplanes and the amazing things they go do with it. Yeah. Aviation is such a social activity. It scratches that itch to be a part of a community. The pilot community, the aviation community is there with open arms saying, hey, we want you to be a part of this. We need you to be a part of this. Yeah. We need the next generation to get interested in learning to fly. So there's a home to be had with this group of people that can't wait to share the skies and the airplanes and give you a ride and take you up there. So we got to get people out to the airports and got to get people up in the air, because I'm sure that if you're at all wired for it, the first time you try it, you'll be hooked.
Yeah, absolutely. And tell us about some of the wonderful work, because AOPA has not only protected our rights in the air, but they have a number of educational programs, they have a summit every year, they do so much good work to get more people interested in flying, but also keep the pilots that are flying, keep flying.
Absolutely.
Just share a little bit about some of the programs.
Well, we want people to become pilots, and we want pilots that are pilots to stay current, get out there, keep flying. One of our big initiatives are called Rusty Pilots. And the Rusty Pilots initiative says, hey, if you got a pilot's license back in the 70s, 80s, whenever, you're still a pilot. You need to get out to the airport, take a couple hours with an instructor. Let us bring you up to speed on the technologies that have changed. The rules have changed a little bit. The regulations are slightly different. Let's get you up to speed and get you back in the air because your pilot certificate is still valid. You're still a pilot. Go use it. So there's a lot of people that start flying and maybe let their skills get rusty. So we try to get those folks back in. We try to get new people interested in it. Anybody out there wants to learn about aviation, go to our website, aopa.org. We have a free 6-month student membership. We let people see what it's all about with no skin in the game. We'll give you a great magazine called Flight Training. You can really soak it in, and we'll give you a lot of resources. And let you try it out for half a year before you decide to commit. And then once you're in aviation, AOPA is many things. We are the world's largest aviation organization. We have close to 400,000 members.
Wow.
We exist for those members. We represent them at all political levels. We will get down and involved in municipal issues. Santa Monica, California, people are trying, a small minority of people trying to shut down an airport there that serves the Southern California community. We're defending that at the municipal level. On Capitol Hill, we have a team of people working to make it easier to access the air. I've literally walked the halls of Congress with our legislative affairs people. They have doors opened for them. They are there making a big difference, spreading the word of aviation to national lawmakers. And at the state level, we do things. We work to try to get tax initiatives in to where things are more favorable for aircraft owners and for aircraft-related businesses. In addition to that, we help people fly more. We give them reasons to go places. We have a series of regional fly-ins around the United States that we do this year. The 2016 season's looking really fantastic. We're going to be in Arizona and Washington and Battle Creek, Michigan and North Carolina. It's going to be really great. So then in addition to that, it's hard to explain what all AOPA does because we're so multifaceted. I work in the publications division. We publish world-class magazines about aviation. And then I'm fortunate enough to be a part of our show AOPA Live this week and AOPA Flyby and some other video content that we make. So it's really multifaceted. There's so many other departments I didn't even touch on. But we're there for aviation.
In a total package. I mean, I've even called them for general questions about the FAR, just to understand the, different laws and stuff like that. I mean, anything and everything you need regarding aviation, they're your peeps, and they're there to help you.
We have a whole team of people sitting in what we call the Pilot Information Center. These are flight instructors and such. They are the subject matter experts. You can call them up toll free. Talk to them. They'll answer the questions. If they don't know the answer, they've got a big library of resources. They'll research it and get it back to you. I use them quite frequently when I don't know something, because there's so many things I don't know. And I'll call them up and be like, hey, what's the deal with this? And they give me a solid answer, and that's available to anybody there.
So that's at AOPA.org.
Absolutely, .org. And, again, we are the Aircraft Owners and Pilots Association, and we would love to have people, if they're interested in aviation, check us out. Get on the website, dig around. We have a very, very large website with a lot of information there, and it can feel a bit like drinking from a fire hose at first, but we have Flight Training Magazine, and Flight Training Magazine kind of introduces it in bite-sized chunks and really lets you feel what it's all about. But the thing I would tell people more than anything, aside from AOPA, aside from anything else, if you want to learn to fly, just go to the airport. Get to know people. They are there to welcome you. You see these fences, you see security gates. That's not really what general aviation is about. They're not there to keep you out. There's going to be people there that want to welcome you in there. So the airports are yours just as much as they're mine, just as much as they're anyone else's. Get out to the airport. Somebody will help you out and maybe even give you a ride and tell you what it's all about.
Absolutely. And for anyone interested in reaching you particularly, how can they do that?
Well, I am on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. The handle for all three is Paul Harrop Live. Reach out. I'd be very happy to chat with you and give you any resources that I can to get you into aviation or answer any questions you have, and really look forward to anybody that reaches out.
Fabulous. Well, before we end our show today, what last words would you like to leave with our audience?
I would say that aviation can change your life. It can provide a lot of opportunities, and it's there for you. It is available to you. It's not exclusive. It's not something that's out of reach. Go do it. The world is ruled by people that show up. That includes at the airport. So just get out and go do it. We look forward to welcoming anybody into this hobby.
That's right. I mean, life is too short to wait for tomorrow. So do it today.
Do it.
Yeah. So, well, Paul, I want to thank you again for coming to Savvy Central Radio's 4th Annual Aviation Month. Thank you.
Thank you, Christina.